We have arrived back with another edition of Let's Play WWE 2015. It is the WWE Network special, live only on the WWE Network, as we are on the road to Wrestlemania. And we are live from the Halifax Metro Center in Halifax, Nova Scotia, up in the Great White North for this network special. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the big event here tonight, as we are on the road to Wrestlemania. We kick off the first show tonight the first match tonight with a match of two talents who are not very popular up north, and that is Tyler Breeze and Ray Lipon, and Tyler defeats Ray in the first pre-show match tonight. As now we move forward and we see the Motor City Machine Guns up against Lucky Cannon and Manu, and Motor City Machine Guns get the win in the second pre-show match tonight. And now the third and final pre-show match, it sees Ted DiBiase Jr., Bo Dallas, Damian Sandow, Bobby Lashley, Epico, and Chris Hero in a six-pack challenge of sorts, and Ted DiBiase Jr. is lucky enough to get the victory in this match to continue what has been a 3-week winning streak for the second generation Money Mogul. And now we move to the first segment of the show, and it is Triple H, Stephanie, and Mr. McMahon in the ring, as Mr. McMahon does most of the talking, and he addresses the elephant in the room. It wasn't that long ago that I stood in this very ring, and I looked at each and every one of you people, and I told that hacker that has been bothering us since November that if he wants to come face to face with me at WrestleMania, if he wants to finally be a man and stand face to face with me on the stage that I built, WrestleMania, then so be it. Because I am Vince McMahon, damn it, and I am not afraid of anybody. Triple H and Stephanie do a little bit of talking, but either way, all three of them are interrupted by one man. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Austin comes face to face with each member of the McMahon family, and he looks at Vince, he looks at Hunter, he looks at Stephanie, and says, "We've had our problems over the years. We've hated each other over the years. But the one thing I have to say to you, Vince, is without Vince McMahon and the WWE, there would be no Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I'm doing this. I'm doing you a favor. And I'm gonna tell you, Vince, that you may hate the hacker, and you too may hate the hacker too, but this hacker has done more for this company in the short period of time that he's been with this company than you two have done since you took power as the authority. I would sit at home and I would wonder what happened to the company I used to work for. What happened to the company that I used to call home? Because if anything, it was a shell of its former self. And I hate to break it to you, Steph, but you're not your father, and Hunter, you are sure as hell no Vince McMahon. Or maybe it's just because you're not letting your roster back there find a new me. I was standing backstage before this show, and some little scrawny 6'0" nothing, 234 pounds of nothing, came up to me, gave me a piece of paper with some writing on it, and said this is what they expect from me for the promo. I crumbled it up and told them I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, by God, and I don't get a script. When I was here, there was no such thing as a script. We were allowed to be our own person and explore and do whatever the heck we wanted. But now, you have such a tight leash on those boys back there that everybody is too afraid to be their own person. To be different than the cookie cutter mentality that you've instilled in them, Vince. So I hate to break it to you, but that hacker is doing more for your company than you have done in a very long time, because it's making people want to watch something that you've forgotten how to do. And by the way, Vince, I don't need you. You need me. So you can't do anything to me. Then Hunter steps up and says, I can beat your ass. You couldn't do it when we fought each other, Hunter. Back when I was an active wrestler, you couldn't do it then, and you sure as hell can't do it now, son. So step down and step back before I drop you with a Stone Cold Stunner, just like old times. As the tension subsides, we move to our next match, and that is Chris Jericho against Fandango, a rematch from Fandango's WrestleMania debut a couple years ago when he fought Chris Jericho, but this time Chris Jericho is victorious over Fandango. But Jericho doesn't get to celebrate that long, as Jericho is in the ring following the match, and Samoa Joe runs up from behind and knocks down the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla, and drops Jericho with a muscle buster, leaving him down and out right in the middle of the ring, and sending a message to Y2J as WrestleMania approaches in less than a month. 3 weeks away from the first week in April, when the WWE will call Levi Stadium home and once again break an attendance record. Now we head backstage, where Naomi meets up with AJ as the two of them talk up their tag team match later tonight against Paige and Nikki Bella. Speaking of their tag team match, we see Paige and Nikki come up short against AJ and Naomi, gaining the victory for Naomi, and leaving a question, what does this mean for WrestleMania? Because as you saw, AJ beat Paige. What does this mean for WrestleMania? Is this an indication of what we could see in Levi Stadium when AJ faces Paige and a loser leaves the WWE match? Now we head to the next match as Jack Swagger goes up against the big guy, Ryback, and Swagger gets the win. I can honestly tell you, if this match actually happened in real life, and Swagger actually got the victory over Ryback, I would be shocked. Because you go back to when Swagger fought Alberto for the United States title late last year, and Swagger had Alberto in the Patriot Lock, and Alberto basically no-sold Swagger's move and buried the All-American American. Seeing him do even slightly this, having a competent feud where both men are looked at as competent threats and competent competitors, is something that I don't think WWE could do right now for Jack Swagger, which is very unfortunate because Swagger does have talent. And now we head to the next segment as Christian sets up the first edition in quite a while of The Peep Show, as we have his guests, Natalya and Mickie James. Natalya looks at Mickie. Mickie looks at Natalya. And I'm not going to say everything that happens in this segment, but I will say this. Natalya tells Mickie near the end of the segment, this title isn't an indication of who we are. Because, Mickie, we're not divas. We're women. We take pride in what we do in this ring. We take pride in this championship as she holds up the Divas title. Even though, by name, it degrades us. Even though, by name, it's damn insulting. We still take pride in it. Mickie agrees. That's why at WrestleMania our match will not be for the WWE Divas title. Our match will be to crown the new WWE Women's Champion. Because, Mickie, we're not divas. We're women. And it's about time that we make a change to this division, and we change the mentality just like they changed the mentality in NXT. We can do the same up here, and I wouldn't want anybody else to do that on such a grand stage. Natty, I couldn't think of anybody else better either. That's a great idea, and I can't wait to face you one-on-one at WrestleMania and become the new WWE Women's Champion. So that's right, that means that the women's title, that the Women's Championship will be making its return at WrestleMania a year sooner. Yes, you may say, oh, Sasha, Charlotte, Becky, where are they? Why aren't they the ones doing it? It's because I brought back Mickie James. I pushed Natalya. I pushed the people that would be classified as women, not divas. That's why I brought it back a year sooner. That's why it's before Charlotte, Sasha, Becky, and all those other people make their way up to the main roster, because it's unnecessary with who I have. Now we move forward into the next match as the League of Nations go up against Dolph Ziggler and Rob Van Dam, as Dolph Ziggler and Rob Van Dam win via disqualification after Rusev runs in and attacks Dolph Ziggler. And not only that, Carlito runs in and attacks Dolph Ziggler. And following the beatdown of Rob and Dolph Ziggler, the celebration is on as Carlito, Sheamus, Bad News Barrett, and Rusev all celebrate in the middle of the ring, as the League of Nations now seems complete, as you have Ireland, Russia, or Bulgaria, England, and Puerto Rico. yes, in a way, Carlito is replacing Alberto Del Rio, as Alberto is down still with AAA and was unable to make his return to the WWE because I started this before Alberto made his return to the company, and while Alberto was still under an exclusive contract with AAA Mexico. So now we move forward as Kane goes up against Luke Harper, and Kane is victorious against one quarter of the Wyatt family. And now we move back to the ring as Triple H makes his way back out to the ring and calls out Roman Reigns for the challenge that Triple H stipulated this past Friday night on SmackDown to Roman. And that challenge is, well, I will say this, that I thought that the match would have been a little bit better, but with the fact that it was Sid Vicious, I couldn't expect it to be that good, especially with the fact that Sid Vicious is in his 50s, I do believe, at this point. So, whatever. But the simple reason why it was Sid Vicious, I know that's coming out of left field, but the simple reason why it was Sid Vicious is because Sid made his return at the Royal Rumble as a surprise entrant and still had one appearance left. And I needed to use him again. Yes, in a way, you're right, I didn't have to use him again. But I chose to do it by putting him against Roman Reigns here tonight at the WWE Network special. So now we move forward to the next match here tonight, as we head backstage, and it is The Miz, Kevin Owens, Alex Riley, and Seth Rollins strategizing backstage for their 6-man tag team match later tonight against Orton, Cena, and Ambrose. And now we head back to the ring, where MVP goes up against Bray Wyatt, and unfortunately for the most valuable player, he isn't that valuable tonight, as Bray Wyatt sends him back to whence he came, as Wyatt gets a big win here tonight at the network special. And now we stay in the ring as Rusev is ready to defend his WWE United States title, and he's going to defend that title against the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. And Rusev gets the win. Now we head to the main event. The Miz, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins against John Cena, Randy Orton, and Dean Ambrose, and the heels are victorious. Kevin Owens defeats Dean Ambrose in the match, and I will say this, think about this past Monday night on Raw, what happened. You saw Seth Rollins against John Cena, and Randy Orton against Kevin Owens. But that meant you saw also Orton get the victory over Kevin Owens. And it's not that I care about Kevin Owens that much. What I'm saying is the heels needed it more than the faces, and it's also a network special. It ain't like it's WrestleMania, so give me a break on the idea of the heels winning. This show, surprisingly, I guess because we did it up in the Great White North, it surprisingly increased our popularity in 36 regions. 36 regions. And our final rating is a 74. This, I don't believe, is one of an improvement off Fastlane. It could be, but I don't think it is. But either way, this is our last stop before the road, before WrestleMania, in 3 weeks, in about 2.5 weeks, live from Levi Stadium in the first week in April. We will have the biggest event of WWE's calendar year. And over the next 2.5 weeks, you will be seeing all the build possible to that match in Levi Stadium, including more from Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, including more and possibly the conclusion of the feud between the Wyatts and Team Hell No plus MVP, Paige and AJ, as we draw closer to the Loser Leaves Town match at WrestleMania between those two women, the return of the women's title as Natalya faces Nick and Mickie James, all that and a lot more, plus a promise surprise by the Hacker at WrestleMania. The questions are here, the build is continuing as we draw closer to WrestleMania. But let me know down in the comment section below what you thought of this show. What was your favorite part of the show? What was your least favorite part of the show? What would you have done differently if you were me? And as always, feedback is more than welcomed and appreciated, but if you don't want to leave it down in the comment section, then feel free to leave a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this, that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.